This is the Eric from the Board and Barrel, and I'll be showing you how to set up and play IT Startup, the card game, on Tabletop Simulator. Published by Kupolas Media, IT Startup is a Polish card game that had a very successful Kickstarter last year that funded the English version of the game. You can purchase a physical copy of IT Startup as a late pledge on their Kickstarter website. In IT Startup, you play as the head of a tech startup company. You must manage your resources and sabotage your opponents in order to finish your company's project in the least amount of turns and by reaching 128 bits, or points, with the highest overall score. If you want to play a shorter game, you can play to 64 or 32 points instead. Or, if you hate your friends, try 256 points. What's in the box? Inside the box will be 64 cards, 32 resource tokens, 32 red burnout markers, one six-sided die, and the rulebook I skimmed a few minutes ago. Let's break down all the important information and the types of cards you'll find in the deck. Each card will show a red resource cost in the top right corner indicates how many resource tokens you'll need to spend to play that card. Some cards will have burnout resistance. That is indicated by a black shield near the top left. The dev cards show a red efficiency value. Knowledge cards will show a black score modifier. Some cards have an effect when played, others may have effects that remain while in play or take place at the end of each turn while active. And commented out at the bottom of each card is just some spicy flavor text to keep you from falling asleep while Kyle takes his turn. Developer cards are your main source of project points. At the end of each turn, add up those big red numbers for your score. You can attach knowledge cards to improve the efficiency of your developers. Attach as many cards as you can afford, but a burned out employee will take all the knowledge attached when they go to the bottom of the deck. Pay the resource cost again to do a knowledge transfer session and move the card to a new developer. HR cards allow you to take over your opponent's employees and draw additional cards. If you can't beat them, outsource them. Employee transfers include all attached knowledge cards and burnout tokens. If outsourced, you cannot transfer knowledge to or from an outsourced employee or place the outsourced employee into your hand for any reason because they will return to the original company when their contract expires at the beginning of your next turn. Action cards can be used to sabotage your opponents or to help out your own employees. Note the big red action card label in the center of the card. Companies may sabotage by adding burnout tokens to your employees even when it is not your turn. Employees that max out burnout are returned to the bottom of the draw deck immediately. Scoring is simple, just add up all of your active points with the modifiers, first to 128 wins. Alright, let's get started. Each player draws 5 cards. This is just a start. There is no hand limit. I repeat, there is no size limit to your hand. For a starting hand, it's good to have at least one developer. If you don't like your starting hand, you can discard 1, 2, 3, 4, or even all 5 cards and draw new ones. This is called the mulligan phase. Once everyone has had a chance to redraw their starting hand, roll the six-sided die to determine the amount of starting resource tokens. Each player starts with the same number. If you roll 3, every player starts the game with 3 resource tokens. Now just pick a first player and we'll get started. Step 1. The income phase. At the start of your turn, draw a card. After you draw the card, you gain resources based on the round number. So in the first round, you get 1 resource token. In the second round, you would get 2 resource tokens, and so on, up to round 8. 8 resources is the maximum you get at the beginning of your turn. On turn 9, you get 8 resources. On turn 10, you get 8 resources, and on turn 11, you still get 8 resources. There is no limit to how many resources you can have in your bank, so feel free to hoard everything. You can play as many cards as resources will allow. Playing cards costs resource tokens. Those are the little red squares in the top right corner of a card, if you remember. You can only play cards during your own turn. You can also sell extra cards from your hand to the bottom of the deck for 1 resource each. You can also spend 2 resources to draw an additional card. And you can do this as many times as you can afford to, because, again, there's no hand limit size, so draw all the cards if you can afford it. The last option you have on a turn is to plan an action card, and only action cards can be planned. To plan the card, play the action card face down. This doesn't cost you anything just yet. On your next turn, you can flip over the action card and pay 1 less resource to play that card. If you flip over the action card on the same turn it was played, it still costs full price. And that's not the only catch. Only one action card can be planned at a time. Once a card is planned face down, you have to flip and pay the cost of the card before you can plan a new one. But you can leave the card planned in your row for as many turns as you would like. At the end of your turn, you score project points for each of your developers, you count the efficiency value of your developers in red, plus any optional effects from action cards and knowledge cards that would change those. Example: if you have 2 developers on the table, you add the 2 red numbers inside the circles on the cards. 5 plus 2 equals 7 points for me this round. Next round, I add 1 more developer to my row worth 3 points. 5 plus 2 plus 3 equals 10 more points for me. Now my score is 17 at the end of round 2. After you've added up the project points, every employee you control gets 1 burnout token, the red cube. An employee is removed as soon as they receive a 3rd burnout token, unless that card has a black shield of burnout resistance. These cards can have an additional amount of burnout tokens equal to the number on the card. If the shield shows a 1, this employee isn't removed from play until 4 burnout tokens are played. The shield with a 2 can have 5 burnout tokens before that employee is burned out and removed from play. Once a player has scored 128 total points or higher, each player is allowed to finish the same number of turns. We'll finish the round out, and if no other company can meet the goal, that player wins. If more than one player reaches 128 in the same round, whoever scored higher total will win. Alright, that's IT Startup the card game. Who's ready to play?
Hey, my name's Kyle McCarley. I'm a voice actor by trade, but board games are one of my favorite hobbies. If you like board games, you should check out The Board and Barrel every Friday night at 7:30 Pacific on twitch.tv/Kyle McCarley, where me and my buddies play board games. We also give you guys a chance to help us or hurt us, depending on how you feel, with our Buff and Nerf house rules. And we have virtual bingo cards you can fill out while you're watching the show. It's a good time. Hope to see you there.